And welcome to another exciting edition of the Mark Clark Show. Let me get my picture of my baby out of here for some reason. Bootsy Vegas.
Yes, sir. Hello there.
What's going on, Bootsy? You looking very well rested, my friend.
Well, for the first time in 2022, I got a vacation this week. So,
okay.
Thank the vacation gods.
Well, look at you, all refreshed and ready to go, Mr. Vegas, on a show.
And I also had an amazing weekend, so
Well, on our show today, one of my favorite people, she is a young gun, Bootsy. She has done a lot in her very young age. She's like, we went to lunch the other day, and it really hit me. I was like, you could be my daughter.
Wow.
And how proud I would be.
Oh, wow.
You see her on Good Morning America. You see her on Dr. Oz. You see her putting makeup on celebrities. You see her sharing the latest fashions, the latest trends, the latest. If you need to know what's hot and what's not, you go to her. The people, the movers and the shakers, the head honchos, the top dogs, the influencers call her to find out what is going on. And she's been in this game a long time, but she's just a baby, and she's got so much more. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us, Denise Caldwell, joining us on the show. What's up, Denise? Oh, you can't hear?
Oh, wow.
And talk to us. You talk. Oh, we can't hear you either.
She can't even hear the talk part, so she might want to log in and log back off. You know what I mean? Maybe we can tell her to do that. Okay.
Yeah. But man. So Bootsy, I saw you sent me this. I didn't have a chance to load it up, but the classic battle.
Oh man, it was amazing. It was a musical cultural experience I have never experienced before. This is something that will definitely be in my book. I was in a room with Carlos Santana, and he did not look real. So,
it's amazing. So, Bootsy, you had a chance to not only see Carlos Santana. Weren't you with Earth, Wind, and Fire?
Yeah, 100%.
So, with Earth, Wind, and Fire, seeing Carlos Santana, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, the tour has been the highest grossing tour, one of the highest grossing tours for that demographic, and they're talking about shooting a documentary and going to Africa. So I kind of threw my hat in the ring, like, hey guys, I got 700 hours of leave available. Like, hey, so I'm kind of throwing my hat into it. It was, sometimes you think you've seen it all, or you think you experienced it all. I have never experienced nothing like what I saw Carlos Santana do, which was very go-go-ish because it was percussion driven. It was, led by percussions, highly Afrocentric, but also his imagery behind him is very Afrocentric from the motherland. He fused all these things together. It was such a multicultural experience as well, because there were Black people. Every demographic was at this show.
And age group.
So yeah, it was really amazing. And I was not that familiar with Carlos Santana's music. So that was something as well. I knew some of it, but to experience it and just, take the vibe of it was really amazing. So it was really an amazing cultural experience. I am begging them to do a documentary on this. I'm like, I know y'all talking about it, but make sure this is documented. I don't know if this will ever happen again with these two cultural pop musical icons from two different demographics, two different nationalities coming together for this amazing Afrocentric cultural experience in two different velocities. So I just hope that the world really get to see it. It's actually so amazing. I told Raheem, we got to go see them. So I'm taking Raheem in the next couple of weeks. We're going to go because I told him that he needs to see this.
Rube, that's Raheem Devine. Now, okay, enough of you, Bootsy Vegas. I think Denise is back. Denise, yes, we can hear her. Denise Caldwell, ladies and gentlemen, Denise Caldwell. Welcome to the show, Denise. How are you?
Hi, I'm interested in the concert. I'm like, wait, Bootsy, take me too.
Oh, you can. Well, you family, you can always go. So now Bootsy just hopped off for some reason. So, so Denise, I really, a lot of times, you do segments on TV shows across the country, where you feature, items, clothing, just a variety of things. You're kind of like, you're kind of always, in a sense, working. And so we wanted you to have, we'll talk about what you do, but really we wanted to get into who Denise Caldwell is. Because again, some people have seen your face. They'll be like, oh, I know her. You work closely with Dr. Oz on his show. So Denise, for those who, again, so talk about what you do and talk about what you do as far as that presenting piece, and then we'll get into the beginning of it all.
Okay. Well, I am a lifestyle expert and I specialize in fashion and beauty, but I also specialize in those things that you didn't know you needed until I showed them to you. And then, I'm like the friend in your head type of TV personality. I feel like I've never met a stranger. I will talk people down. I think, Mark, you know that. I mean, we sat there for like, what was 15 minutes. Next thing you know, it's 3 hours past. So that really is just me naturally. So I've never met a stranger. So when I do TV, it's like I'm coming into people's home. They graciously have let me come into their home for like the last 6 years on national platforms and also the top 25 local television platforms. And, we shop together. I show them things. I make them laugh a little bit. And sometimes it's even before they had their coffee. So, they really have to be engaged with you to stick around for those 2.5 minutes, maybe 4 minutes if you get that much on TV. And it's really been a blessing. And it all started with me doing a lot of like celebrity styling and stuff. But I really like TV. It's something that I've been able to make money off of, but also just meet a lot of great people and really just be like that friend in your head type of TV personality that has transcended from just doing fashion makeovers to now actually doing more lifestyle television, talking about, travel and essentials that both men, women, he, she, they, him, you got to get all the pronouns in there, might need.
And so Denise, and we talked about this, you kind of had success at a very early age, but so take us behind the scenes, because you actually, it was that kind of the makeup and the fashion and take us behind like your early days in the game.
Yeah. So I started on the fashion styling side behind the scenes, and I've worked for some amazing fashion editors and stylists, a lot of designers during New York Fashion Week. This is like my 22nd fashion season of New York Fashion Week. I celebrated 10 years styling for the Met Gala, and I've been able to be a part of a lot of great styling teams, everywhere from Sarah Jessica Parker to Jennifer Lopez, Beyonce, our former First Lady, Mrs. Obama. I was able to do an amazing photo shoot with her at the White House with Harper's Bazaar magazine. They had a great team. Pretty much every celebrity I've kind of had my hand in some type of way, whether it was helping to assist or to actually like curate fashion racks for other stylists so that they could get the red carpet items that they needed. And then I started working with brands like Sally Hansen and Estee Lauder, MAC Cosmetic, even Jergens hand lotion. And it was all behind the scenes, just really getting a lot of fashion and stuff. And then I always loved fashion myself. So when I decided that I didn't want to do as much celebrity, I really went into what we call general market. So a lot of our retailers like Walmart and Macy's, Neutrogena and Olay. Well, it was Olay, then it was Olay. Now it's Olay. So working with different brands where I still was styling, but then I started actually like working with them and doing spokesperson stuff a little bit here and there, just kind of like videos. And then the TV stuff came, and then more digital opportunities came, and then a lot of spokesperson work came. I think I'm popularly known as the spokesperson for the brand Fruit of the Loom, and their brand Fit for Me. When they created the plus size brand Fit for Me by Fruit of the Loom, I was the person that came in and consulted, told them how the waistband on the underwear should fit. We launched the activewear and leisure line. That was a top seller on Amazon as well. And I was able to collaborate with Walmart. So it really became like this Midwestern girl, like really going and dealing with like people and meeting them and just really helping them with great makeovers so that they could dress with confidence. And that's where my tagline came in, dress with confidence. So then I was known as the expert that helped you to look good and feel good.
So Denise, I can feel, I'm not even looking at Bootsy, I can feel he can't wait to ask. There's so many questions, where to begin. That's why I call him the questioner. So sit back, Denise, you're about to get questioned.
No, hey, don't be building me up, because this will be the one time I have a bad show. And you done built me up this, you know what I mean? So
no, Bootsy, I'm just saying, I know you're curious. I know you have questions, because there is a lot, like, how did you get there? So go ahead, Bootsy. I know you got questions.
No, I mean, just from a Midwestern perspective, I would love to know, where did you grow up at, and how did the Midwest dictate your style? Because, every geographical area has different styles or whatever. So I would love to know just the beginning stages of where you're from, and how did that cultivate your style and what you end up becoming this amazing stylist?
Well, I'm from St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh, wow. Oh, now I see. Oh. Nepotism is alive and well.
I grew up listening to Mark Clark on Magic 108. So I was like, when I saw him in the studio, I like kind of commandeered and summoned. I was like, could you get him for me? And I didn't think he was going to come out, and he did. And I was like, there is a God. I was like, I would love to meet you. I was like, and then when I saw him, I'm like, you look like my dad. It was just so, it was a full
Denise, there's something
moment.
we need to tell you. I am. No, I'm joking.
And his name is Dennis. I'm named after my dad.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'll be the surrogate dad.
Yes. But no, I grew up in St. Louis, and so you can't spell hustle without STL. So I feel like everybody from St. Louis, you can put them anywhere and they're gonna survive, and they're gonna hustle and make something happen. So that really was it. I grew up in St. Louis. I went to school in DC at Howard University. HU. And from there, Howard is like a microcosm of the world. So I actually studied chemistry in college. So I wanted to be a doctor. The fashion part, my father, he's a military man. And so when he was in Germany, he had all these amazing coats. He DJ'd. Between him and my mom, like, I was a shopper and I was a fashion person already. Like, my mom is like, you give her $100, she gonna come back with like 3 outfits. She had a meal and she had a taxi ride to still get home and tip the driver. Like, I don't know how she does it, but she always finds some way to like hustle out to get everything that she needed. Maybe a lipstick or earrings included with the outfit. I mean, I don't know. But between her and my dad, I was always really fashionable. But that didn't mean I wanted to work in fashion. It just really kind of started happening. I knew at some point chemistry and being a doctor wasn't going to be my thing. And my grandmother was like, okay, well, you're going to go to med school. What you going to do? And I was like, I don't know. I need to figure this out. So I just started doing internships. And then I slowly but surely found myself in fashion. I knew I wanted to move to New York by the time graduation came. I just wasn't sure what the opportunities were going to be.
Mm-hmm. I would love to know, just in general, just being at a high level of just fashion and makeup in general, what are the differences culturally and through the racial lines or whatever? I know, Black people have their swag, other people have their swag. How have you been able to navigate that, being a Midwestern African-American sister in DC? What has that been like? What has that been like for you?
I I think I was already kind of prepared for the division because, I mean, if people know St. Louis, they know. I like to say when I describe it, is definitely a sports town. You know, it's themed off sports and it's themed off the Catholic religion. I feel like the Pope has visited St. Louis more than any other city in the United States. If you can count on your hands, like growing up, the Pope was always there. It didn't matter which Pope it was. Somehow they were there. So I thought it was, you know, divided by sports, divided by religion, mostly Catholic, and also divided by race. So growing up, I went to a math and science school. It was a magnet school. We had Bosnian, you know, and Asians in our school that overpopulated everybody before they really populated in St. Louis. So I got exposed to a lot of different races, and I grew up in the Central West End. So, you know, it was kind of like the middle class of it all. And so, you know, you walk down the street, you know, WashU was up the street, Helena's, the Chase Park Plaza, like it was so many different things. So I really wasn't too like resistant to it per se. I just always wanted to go to Howard because, you know, I'm an 80s baby. So I grew up with the Cosby Kids in Different World and Debbie Allen. And, you know, I wanted to be the next Debbie Allen, honey. You couldn't tell me that I wasn't going to be Debbie Allen. I just loved me some Debbie Allen and Felicia Rashad. So when I got to Howard, it was just more so completing my journey of wanting to go to Howard. And the fact that it was a HBCU was just icing on the cake. I will say when I got to New York, being a plus size woman, a Black woman, and young and not having that much experience, I really had to rely just on my personality and my gifts and my hard work and my grit. So a lot of people don't necessarily want to do that. You know, I never got the cliche Black girl attitude, head roll type thing. It was just really more like, oh, she's vibrant. Oh, she's nice. Oh, she works hard. Oh, you know, well, she's plus size. How'd she get this job? Or, you know, it would be different things. And there would be little persnippety comments, but I always would win people over. And I will say that I'm very grateful for the people that happen to be, you know, what we now call allies. I had a lot of allies back in the day that really helped me to get to where I needed to be. And I still do. You know, a lot of producers, a lot of executive producers, you know, as Marc mentioned, Dr. Oz, you know, putting me on TV, Bethany Frankel taking a chance on me. I had no TV experience. She was my first national platform. So a lot of people really were just like, oh, you know, she seems like she knows what she's talking about. And she's so nice that they, you know, they took a chance. And other people's like, yeah, she has this background. She just never did camera before, but look at her. She smiled. I think she's going to be great. And, you know, I was. To God be glory.
I would love to know, you know, talk about Dr. Oz or whatever. What has the Dr. Oz experience been like? Because he's becoming an interesting, polarizing person. I would love to know, what was it like for you, you know, working with Dr. Oz, and what has it been like as he's transitioned to Republican strategist, you know, senator thing? What has that been like?
You know what? I remember the first time I met Dr. Oz, and people would say Mehmet because that's his first name. And he was just so sweet. I remember rehearsal. Like I had did Bethany a couple of times, and I had did a Canada show. So I had kind of seen how the TV segments go. And none of the head people come to rehearsal because he is a heart thoracic surgeon, very established, you know, that type of person. He comes to rehearsal. So it doesn't matter if it's 6 a.m., he's at rehearsal. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's Dr. Oz over there. He's at rehearsal. And we went through and he was looking like, oh, okay, who's this new fresh face? And then we did the rehearsal. It was really quick. You know, it was just kind of nod and shake, but he wanted to go through the lines. And then I went and did my makeup. And I think he could tell when we got back on, I had my outfit on and everything because I was so nervous. Like 3 producers had come in and we decided on what my outfit would be. And I was talking about underwear. So I was comfortable because that was my wheelhouse to talk about underpinnings, but we were talking about how to prevent cellulite. And so everybody was saying cellulite. So I was like, I'm going to just say both. And then just make a joke like, depending on what region you're in, you may say cellulite, but cellulite, but this is how you prevent it with your underwear. So I had my talking points. And I think he looked over as we were about to film. And I remember hearing, because it got really quiet, and he was like, Denise. And I turned and he was like, good luck. And I was like, oh, thank you. So we did it. It went by so fast. I got downstairs. We got dressed. We took a couple of pictures. Producer came and said, you were amazing. Can we book you for like next week for another show that we're filming, that's going to air sometime next month. So it became this dance and this duo. And then he started remembering my name. And then he called me the Curvinista.
Wow.
He said, hey, friend of the show, Denise is here, the Curvinista. And I was like, oh, and we were in rehearsal one time and he read the prompter and it didn't say Curvinista. He went back and told Sam, which was one of the producers, he was like, make sure you put the Curvinista in there. So I was like, oh, Lord, this is about to be the Oprah effect. Like, ching, ching. And it was like after that episode aired with the underwear, I got my contract with Fruit of the Loom.
Wow.
And I had been their spokesperson after that for 5 years. And that was, we're talking about a check that was like low six figures, but it was still six figures.
Six
and
figures,
I was like,
six figures. Hey, let me tell you something right now. Where the money resides. Six figures, six figures.
So,
low, high, mid. If it's six numbers on there, we're doing great over here.
Yes.
So Denise, let me ask you this question. Were you surprised about his Republican strategies, his embracing the whole Republican thing? Because that shocked a lot of people, including me.
I know that it did. Like, even because Philadelphia is a market that I do a lot. And one of the markets that I do, that's where he's located and running, he had to give up his show. And so a lot of my people that I become friends with, they had another show that they tried with Daphne Oz coming on board, which is his daughter. And that, finished out the season. But I know a lot of people missed, he was like America's doctor.
Right.
And it possibly still is. I would say politics is a little thing. It's not my tea. I was just texting somebody today because we had primaries in New York. And although I do my civic duty and I've helped, in the political realm, I care about family and community. Right. So I have to care about politics, but that's really not my thing. So I really wouldn't be able to say who a person is, on that spectrum. But do I think that he cares about family? Absolutely. Did he give me a shot and continuously make sure that I was on screen and that I was branded correctly? Absolutely. Was he always kind and a gentleman to me? Absolutely. Am I a woman of color? Absolutely. Am I a Democrat? He may not have known that, but yes, I vote Democrat, and I can be a little radical or I can be a little conservative at times, but, we'll see what happens.
No, I love that. And let me say this. You are well skilled. The way you just navigated and moved to that was really good.
Well played, Denise Caldwell.
That was really good. Don't mess up the money. We trying to get another 6-figure check. I like that. Okay.
But you know what, Bootsy? It's genuine. Like, he met my mom. Like, my mom was always welcome. He always had amazing snacks in the dressing room. His team never seemed like they were dissatisfied. How we heard remnants and buzz with Ellen towards the end. I never heard that about Dr. Oz and his show. So work ethic wise, making sure his team got paid well, making sure that guests felt welcome. The line was always wrapped around the corner to come to the show. So I don't know. Yeah.
So
I wish him well. And of course, he's always in my prayers because anybody that's good to me, I pray that God be good to them.
So Denise, you were actually in switching directions a little bit. You actually were in the industry. You're in the fashion industry, right? So break it down, because as a Kanye West fan, and I kind of marvel at the things that he does, right?
You ain't got the answer, Sway. You ain't got the answer. I'm sorry.
Denise, we saw him, and again to the eyes of the public, the Be Crazy piece. What happened was it really kind of changed. It kind of changed the fashion world, right? From what happened at the late Virgil Abloh now, right? Him being moved in a certain position. Obviously, they weren't going to put Kanye West in that position, but they did make a move because I think there was a certain amount of pressure. And then to the success of his of Kanye West is the fashion stuff that he does, from the deal with Gap to his deal with Adidas to his clothing lines and his shoes that people say, oh, they're ugly or this and that. At the end of the day, I don't think we've kind of ever witnessed anybody, especially a Black person, have this degree of success in the fashion industry. But what were you surprised at, that kind of like the fallout? I mean, because it's still, I think there's still people that think, it's crazy, he's this, he's that. But at the end of the day, business wise, the brands are very valuable. Like we were at the mall the other day, and it's so funny. It's always controversy. So, his new sweaters were displayed in a big, some say, garbage bag at the Gap, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's like, yeah. And so you hear people, the buzz was, oh my God, he's got it in a garbage bag. But I actually we were out at the mall, and I saw it, and it really, I didn't think garbage bag. You just were walking by and you're like, what is that? It was like a pod. It was like a pod, and it was doing probably what it was designed to do, was make people stop and look and walk into the Gap. And then you walked into the Gap, and it was the first time I ever actually got a chance to touch whatever this thing he's making. And these sweaters were $250, and the quality was crazy. It was like that old school sweats that super heavy, that they don't make anymore. And I was like, wow, this guy must be a genius. Because again, you just walk past the Gap. Everybody was stopping and on. Some people were like, oh, that's too expensive. It was creating a conversation. So I get I'm not really a question. So yeah, what's your take on all that and all that's going on with these brands and stuff that he's done?
Well, Kanye's from the Midwest. He's from Chicago. So you either get, I feel like for Chicago, you either get Bama or you get fabulous. Because my aunt, my great grandmother, my great aunt lives there. Like, I got roots in Chicago, and some people come up straight from Mississippi or Arkansas. So, they got flair. Like my great grandmother, her church group, I showed a picture at my grandmother's funeral, and my first ladies were like, wait, they dress like that, their church group? She was like, oh, we got to step it up, and we knew Kanye always loved fashion. And I think the Gap thing was genius because that's where he retailed and worked. Wasn't always acknowledged, complained how they treated him. And let's be honest, when was the last time people really shopped at the Gap? Like, people shop at Old Navy and a little bit at Banana Republic if you are a career driven person. But even Banana Republic was having transitions. I work a lot with Old Navy, and I know, Old Navy always, Gap Inc. wise, I feel like they keep the lights on because everybody shops at Old Navy, and they have extended sizes and stuff. So I think that was a very smart move for the Gap. And it made sense for Kanye because it told a story. Like, people don't realize what the story is, but if you're a Kanye fan, Kanye worked at the Gap and he despised it, but he loved it, and different things. So it's exciting to see. But $250 for the Gap is a lot because that's not normally their price point. So it's really what we would call a collaboration in the fashion industry, and more so they'll do special pop-up stores and that type of stuff, and it's something that's exclusive, but it's not always going to be there. So it'll be interesting to see what other pieces he makes. I think it's just been genius for him to go that way, but he was always fly. Like, he always wore polo and did different things, so he always had this swag about him. And if you do and you're able to have a great team, which he does, one of his stylists, Rennie, I've known her. I actually worked with her when they used to style Fergie, when Fergie first came out on her own and London Bridge came out. And Rennie worked for Daria Hines, who is the late Gregory Hines. Yep, Gregory Hines' daughter. Daria was a huge stylist, and Fergie was her client. Fergie had just separated or kind of transitioned as a solo artist from Black Eyed Peas, and Rennie was one of her lead assistants, and I worked as a second assistant. It was so first class. And then I remember seeing Rennie with Kanye and then seeing her on the Kardashians, and I was like, wow, she had great style. So he has really amazing people on his team that are great. And then Virgil's from Chicago too. So that was just, amazing how Off-White was able to transition, and then him being with, Louis Vuitton, and just different things that he was doing.
Right.
Kanye really had a hand in that too.
But Denise, you know what else I think Kanye is at this point? He is America's guilty pleasure. We can't ignore him.
You think so?
Like the thing about him is he's like, do you watch wrestling? You watch WWE, WWF wrestling?
I grew up on it. I was a tomboy back in the day.
He is like the heel in wrestling. He gets you to react. He sets you up. Like when I first saw the Gap bag thing, and I knew in my mind, oh, Kanye is just getting your attention.
Yeah.
Kanye is like the new OJ. You cannot ignore. No. Well, hold on. I don't mean with that part. I'm just saying, like, America cannot ignore OJ 30 years later. America cannot ignore Kanye.
Yeah.
Kanye is America's guilty pleasure. No matter what happens, he gets people to react. And I think there is genius in that. And I think it's more well played than we think. Because two things about him. He don't care, and he really don't care. People say
he don't care.
He really don't care, and he sees it first.
Yeah. And
his job is to get you to react. So I just think with him, the real genius is he makes America respond to him. He can say something, and Soulja Boy can say something, and it could be the same exact thing. We would ignore Soulja Boy, and Kanye would trend for it.
Well, they're two different calibers, but we did when Soulja Boy said Drake, everybody was using that one, you know. So it depends. But I will say Kanye is that, you know, where people say, I'm my ancestors' wildest dreams. Like, who do you know that he knew fashion so well? And it's funny because, you know, not to put them against each other, but like how Jay-Z knew and put us on to so many amazing things, like Audemars watches, and you know, talking about the different liqueurs and stuff. Yeah. Kanye was doing it more so on the higher end of fashions, and it also was a refinement to it because he looked good. He had this swag, and then he had other, like his ex-girlfriend, the original one that was the Delta. Alexis was a fashion designer and still is. So he loved fashion. So I really feel like he's more of that person that is your ancestors' wildest dreams, because his mama was educated. He knew he was supposed to go to school and get a degree, but he still was smart because, you know, you can't be around Dr. Donda West and not soak up what she had. So he was like, these folks can't tell me nothing. I don't care what they say. I'm going to date who I want, say what I want, do what I want. They ain't going to lock me up. They ain't going to beat me up.
They going to buy my clothes. They going to buy my records. And
he's still going to stand up for black people. He going to talk about the white people. He going to date the white people. He going to date the black people. I mean, he might even date a man at some point. I don't know. Kanye going to do what Kanye going to do. Kanye is Kanyeing, and I'm here for it all.
So Denise and Bootsy, we always have these moments on the show, and I think it's just the caliber of guests we have. And also for me, Bootsy, I don't know if it happens to you. Sometimes things that you're thinking about don't make sense in the outside world, then it comes on the show and it makes sense. And so it's so crazy. I've been working on a comedy routine, right? And this concept I was talking about, I'm in the middle. I'm like a motivational speaker. So it's almost like too much motivational speaker and not enough comedy. But this point that I was trying to play with, Denise, you just brought up, and now I can use it. And so it's not on a comedy stage. You know what I'm saying?
She wanted her a low-end six-figure check, sir. Make sure it's a low-end six-figure.
So this point that, again, happened because of Denise brought it up, that I had this thought of, guys, was how in our culture, especially rap, right? It's like rap and the hood and the black and the There's a certain disingenuousness within it that is a problem, even with those people we love. So my thing was, Bootsy, as we talked about, when you talk about jazz or whatever, and somebody who's the best sax player, who's the best pianist, the beauty of jazz was, well, we're going to have a jam session Thursday night anyway. So in every city the artist played, they played their main gig and it'd be a jam session. So anybody who thought they was nice could come on out and play, and then the whole world can see, right? It wasn't no beef. It was the truth. It was like the coldest piano player in Kansas City is fill in the blank, right? And so when we talk about hip hop, and again, I love Jay-Z. I love, these artists, and Jay-Z and the Jay-Z's of the world and the Dame Dashes of the world and so and so. But like you said, Denise, here's the part, Puffy and these guys, here's the part that never gets talked about. Because now everybody, and every Jay song now, everybody's got Basquiat, everybody does. All the producers, my man married to Alicia Keys, everybody's an art fanatic. Everybody's an art fanatic, right? But what never gets said is you never hear Jay-Z say, thank you, Kanye, for bringing the game to us. Because like you said, Denise, this wasn't a cat. Kanye was a student of art. And even though New York cats, you knew Basquiat, you knew certain things, you were not students of it. Like you said, he was a student of fashion. But nobody ever, and Jay's ego, you never hear them really break it off. Because remember, as Kanye pointed out, when I did Jesus Walks, y'all looked at me like I couldn't rap because I wasn't from the hood. Business-wise, Dame Dash got it. Because he said, but everybody, well, can you really not be from the hood and be a rapper?
Right.
And so, you know what I mean? So as transparent as Jay-Z kind of is now, and these artists are, they're really not that transparent because they never really, at the end of the day, it was, like you said, Kanye was kind of an intellectual person who came from an intellectual family, who was smart, but they never really give it to him, and we never have, you know what I mean? And so that's the part it's not a beef, but it's just something that you like.
Because he's fearless, and he has the ears of people. Kanye can move. He can move. He hasn't used it correctly because, he was supporting Trump. But one thing about him is he's educated and he's fearless. And like that day when he got up there and said, George Bush don't like black people, that was different to say that for a second, to where George Bush had to respond to him at a White House, you know what I mean?
At a moment.
That's power, bro.
Now,
and he didn't care what they said or what they did. He was
at that point.
Growing up and grabbing a mic from a young, blonde, Caucasian girl to defend and advocate for a sister. I mean, we always want to talk about advocating. That was advocating whether he was wrong or not. He still went on that VMA. I'm not mentioning no names, but he went on that VMA stage and he took that from that young girl who was another color spectrum and then protected a brown skinned girl. And I'm
gonna let you talk.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Hold on, I'm gonna let you talk.
So that's true talk though.
But that now
talk about advocating.
That's so true.
Advocating.
And so and then now I'm gonna flip it again. Now, guys, we'll move past Kanye. So enough Kanye. But Denise, I wanted to get your take. So Andrew Talley, who passed away, right?
Andre Leon Talley.
Andre Leon Talley.
Denise, say it right.
The part that's I think heartbreaking, Denise, is that and I'm on the same I'm on the path to change history too, in that these people have these amazing careers, but at the end of the day, to die broke and have all this influence and to leave so much and so many people standing on your shoulders, but then at the end that bank account is barren. Denise, what can we do? I mean, first of all, did you meet him in your, I'm sure you have. Do you have any stories about him? And then how do we arrive at that to be so influential, but then in the day, them pockets aren't right? I'm fighting it now. I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to make sure it's not just me, it's your legacy.
Your legacy.
Family.
Your legacy.
It's your family. So I'm sorry, go ahead, Denise.
Yeah, I think it's different too. He didn't have a legacy. You have a legacy. You have a helpmeet, and then you have children. So it's a little different. Like somebody's gonna take care of somebody, So it's a little different with Mr. Leon Talley's legacy. He didn't have that. And I think he tried to keep his legacy going. He grew up, he was from North Carolina. His family was a hardworking family. I had the pleasure of meeting Andre on several occasions. I know certain people that are great friends of him that are like fashion mentors that are still reeling from this. Like I was at an event the other day, and one fashion editor, you could just feel the pain. She was like, yeah, because I spoke about Andre, and then it was almost like we had talked, and then the champagne came, and she still wanted to tell her story on how they met and how other stuff. And she went to Atlanta. There's a amazing college there that's like a textile designer college in Atlanta, and they gave an award for him too, and it's like a scholarship fund and stuff. So people are still reeling because, you know, when it happened, COVID was still kind of going on, and not everybody was around the world. He touched the world. Like, he touched so many people, and, you know, his best friends were Karl Lagerfeld, and, you know, he had every social circle that you could imagine. And I just remember one time I was an intern, and we knew him. And, you know, when he would come, he had these amazing capes that he would just walk in, and he was so tall and statuesque, and I could really see it. We wanted to get into this fashion show. So we were waiting, and we had no ticket. And this was when Brian Park was there. And I had worked under Fern Malice, who's the creator of New York Fashion Week. I was one of her interns. And so I knew how you could get to the tents. But at this point, I wasn't working in Fern, so I didn't really have like the VIP access anymore. So we're standing out there, and he see us, and he like whisks us under his cape. And I'm 5'2", so I can get under. And so me and another friend, we just go under there in the cape, and we're able to go to, I never forget, it was Proenza Schuler's show and Prabal Gurung show. And they were young, hot designers that Vogue loved. And once he got us in, he was like, carry on. Like, goodbye. And we got in and got a seat and just sat down and scurried somewhere. And so later on, when I would do other internships, I just remember seeing him all the time and just being so grateful for that moment, because he didn't have to do that. Like, I never worked with Condé Nast. I always worked at Hearst. And so Harper's Bazaar magazine, 17, O magazine, those are Hearst magazines versus Condé Nast's Glamour, Vogue, and Teen Vogue. So I didn't really work under his umbrella, but always saw him, always gracious. He did a huge thing for the St. Louis Fashion Fund one year where he came and spoke, and it was amazing. He just was a really good person. But as far as like the legacy and the financial part, I mean, they partied back in the day, and money was fluid. He may not have had fiscal money, but he had money. He had money with Birkins. He had you know, one of a kind art. That house, regardless of what the speculation was, he had purchased that home. He had made a deal with certain people for that home, and for some reason it was not honored correctly, but he had paid a lot of money for that home. He had furnished that home. He was very careful about COVID. A lot of neighbors had said how when he would go get packages, he would make sure he was masked just to go to the door. So he was doing things, but he also, as a curvy woman, he battled with weight. You know, he battled with obesity. He had went to Duke University for that weight loss. They had a huge weight loss thing. He had did that at one point, but Andre was amazing. You know, he was very slender and tall, and everyone loved him. You know, the men loved him. The women loved him. You know, just reading his memoir, if other people are really into fashion, or let's say that young boy or those who identify as male, you know, want to get into fashion, read Andre Leon Talley's memoir and go on YouTube and see some of his speaking engagements. He really talks about his life and how he had grit, how he slept on the floor. He knew Halston. He knew all these people that were amazing. And so when they finally did get to celebrate him in Harlem, you know, Naomi Campbell, everyone was able to fly in from all over the world, but it just needed to be pieced together, right? So yeah, he may not have had a lot of dollar amount in his bank account, literally, but he spent his money. He traveled the world. He had the most amazing, luxurious fabrics and clothing. And because he was a big and tall man, I mean, it's expensive. And I think he was like a size 15 shoe or something. And, you know, he wasn't wearing no cheap shoes. He wasn't wearing, you know, no shade to Hush Puppy, but he wasn't wearing no Hush Puppies. Like, he was wearing custom stuff, and he had just gotten a huge contract with UGG. So, you know, he was very much so valued. So I hate when people kind of say things that, you know, the fashion industry doesn't always pay you well, but Andre got paid really well. And now, you know, some things may have happened with him and, you know, Vogue magazine and stuff, but he was always something that young Black people aspired to. Like, if you want to get in fashion, honey, at some point you wanted to try to get a sit down with Andre Leon Talley so you could kind of navigate where he was going. So I feel like those are his seeds, his legacy. A lot of young photographers, a lot of young designers, editors who were able to reap off his fruit and really have a harvest. So hopefully a lot of people are doing scholarship funds for him and, raising monies as we navigate to really coming back outside to put their money where their mouth is. Because a lot of people did reap financially off of his success.
So Bootsy, as you see, the level of the show just went to another level. This young one right here, Denise Caldwell, is raising the level of this show. I can hear the Monty coming towards the show. I can hear the respect.
I can hear the money. I can hear the change in the background.
Yeah, I can hear the bag. The respect levels, because she graciously broke me down. Let me tell you what's going on, Mark Clark. Yeah. I love it.
No shade.
Let's make this clear, and I love it because I threw a little shade out there. She was like, she put in a little patty, fried it, turned it over, and put it on a nice rye piece of bread and ate it.
It was a White Castle burger, but from St. Louis, though. The good White Castle burger.
She ate it on King's Highway.
Highway, Natural Bridge.
So Bootsy, final questioner for Denise, because she's got things to do. She's got an early day tomorrow. Any questions as we wrap up?
I just want to say it was really impressive. Just how insightful you are, and just reading your bio is really amazing. And you're everything that Mark and people told me that you would be. You are really amazing. You really are.
Bootsy.
God bless you. I'm gonna be following you. And look, and I have some journalism kids that need to hear from you. I would love to connect. I teach a broadcast journalism class. I've sent 34 kids to college as mass comm majors. This year, all 7 of my seniors went to college for free. 2 of them to Ivy League schools.
What?
So I would love for you to have a conversation with them at some point. I mean, if it's okay, I would love to get your information. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Or because I don't want to have to slide in your DM and mock
slide in the DM.
Well, look, this is my baby girl. So yes, sir. Watch yourself. So Denise, how can people follow you? How can people reach you? How can people get in touch with you? And Bootsy, I'll send you her information. I give you permission because she is family. She's my little girl. You're family. So go ahead, Denise. How can people get with you?
Oh, yep. So I am on Instagram at Style Expert Denise. I'm on Facebook, Style Expert Denise Caldwell. And YouTube, you can just put in Style Expert Denise Caldwell. All my lovely makeovers and fashion segments will come up from different media channels. And there's this little thing called Google. If you put Denise Caldwell in, I'll pop right up.
Denise, you have been a joy.
Yes, you have.
So excited. I mean, again, you really do have a gift, Denise. I mean, you are an effortless communicator, and then your knowledge and the stories are beyond your years. So just you're a treasure. And I look forward to not only our relationship growing, but I look forward to seeing where you end up. Who knows? Bootsy, we are attaching our train to Denise, and we're going out for the ride. We're going to touch the hem of the garment.
Amen.
All right, Denise, that's going to be it. Again, everybody, thank you for watching. If you're watching this, make sure you subscribe to the channels and follow and all that kind of stuff. And make sure you tell your friends about us. Have a great one, Denise. I'll talk to you soon. Bootsy Vegas, take care, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Peace out.
It's barely morning, and somehow Mark Clark has to wake up. Of course, Mark has a little help.
I just want to float. We can stay forever.